They say it's reliable like a Toyota Camry. But are these 2006 to 2011 V40 generation sedans so trouble-free? As a rule, a Camry younger than 2007 in our market will be a native Russian. But that's okay. After the start of assembly in Shushary near St. Petersburg, the cars noticeably lost in price, but not in quality. Among the older specimens, there are many former Americans, in addition to other lighting equipment and instrument markings, which are distinguished by a softer suspension and a relaxed steering wheel. But you can take but the Arabic versions are not the best option. Camry is very popular with taxi drivers there, who roll up to 500,000 kilometers before selling. In addition, in Middle Eastern cars, the engine cooling system and climate are designed only for heat, and anti-corrosion treatment is weaker. You don't have to worry about the corrosion resistance of non-tropical cars. Yes, a thin layer of paint and varnish is easily scratched and tarnished by washes, but even specimens from the first batches have traces of rust on the body, perhaps due to repairs after an accident. Most of all, age is given out by paint swelling on the wiper leashes after 2 or 3 years, a cracked or peeling decorative trim on the trunk lid, and a sloppy peeling coating of light alloy wheels. And for pre-styling cars older than 2009, the front bumper bursts from the slightest contact exactly in the middle, under the lower air intake grille. For the modified bumper lining, the section was calculated by an engineer more knowledgeable in strength of materials, and it makes sense for owners of pre-styling Camrys to preventively strengthen the unsuccessful design with a patch from the inside. The interior is not distinguished by heroic resilience. The finishing fabric quickly begins to shine and rub, and the leather is not of the best quality. It can crack after 20 to 30,000 kilometers. By the way, the peeling coating of the buttons and the strong polishing of the steering wheel and gear knob are not at all a sign of a huge mileage. They begin to noticeably wear out after only 60 to 80,000 kilometers. The reproduction of the colony of crickets, alas, does not depend on the mileage. They actively populate the front panel, the sunroof mechanism, the armrest, and the center console of very fresh cars, especially the melodious configuration with wood trim. And over time, the Camry interior can be filled not only with creaks, but also with the musty smell of a swamp, which you need to look for in a quickly sour air conditioning system. It should be cleaned of rot and bacteria at least once every 60 to 80,000 kilometers, or better, annually. By the way, along the way, it is useful to check the drain tube of the air conditioner. It tends to clog. But the strongest impressions may appear after 3 to 5 years of active use of the air conditioner, when the front panel begins to become covered with flakes of an unknown white substance. Do not be alarmed, this is just the dandruff blown through the deflectors of the oxidized aluminum evaporator of the air conditioner, which at the first opportunity should be replaced with a copper non-original one. Hunting for small dirty tricks and onboard electrics. Either the buttons on the steering wheel will fail and you will have to change the worn-out contact group of the steering column, or the power window block on the driver's door will be capricious. Toyota even announced a revocable campaign for cars older than 2008, or it will begin to lie the air temperature sensor in the cabin. It happens that after 3 or 4 years, parking sensors and mirror folding motors become capricious. The headlight washer nozzles do not tolerate the slightest dirt. They jam in the open position. Usually a simple cleaning saves, and after 100,000 kilometers, not only the bulbs, but also the ignition blocks burn out on the xenon headlights themselves. And the most expensive nuisance can be a cluttered instrument panel. Fortunately, there are almost no unpleasant surprises with the electrical equipment of the engines. The picture is spoiled only by the pulley on the generator, which after 100,000 kilometers strives to turn. But the generators themselves rarely require replacement or repair before 150,000 kilometers. In addition, all the main parts are sold separately, and the air conditioning compressor can withstand at least 200,000 kilometers. Of the 4 Camry engines available, only 2 were supposed to be official Russians. The more popular, 4.2AZ FE with a volume of 2.4 liters, 80% of cars, and the V62GR FE engine with a volume of 3.5 liters. Both units, with a disposable aluminum cylinder block, which, however, is enough for at least 300,000 kilometers. Plus a durable timing chain drive, a proprietary VVTi variable valve timing system, and individual ignition coils. Both motors are enviably reliable. In exchange, frequent 10,000 maintenance and manual valve adjustment every 150,000 kilometers. If you neglect every 30 to 40,000 kilometers cleaning the throttle block from dirt, the expensive assembly will have to be changed ahead of schedule. And if you save on replacement periods or oil quality, both engines prefer synthetics, you will need a new VVTi system clutch for $170, especially quickly for the V6 engine. Uneven operation, cold engine knocks and problems with starting will tell you about this. Having sweated with oil, the engines will complain about the crankcase ventilation system that was not cleared of rapidly growing deposits in time, or its stuck valve, $8. And one refueling with scorched fuel is enough to condemn the oxygen sensor. The inline-4 is more picky about the cleanliness of the radiators than the older colleague and requires their sandwich to be cleaned at least once every 2 years. In case of severe overheating, it can lead the aluminum cylinder head. In turn, the V6 engine is less tolerant of dirt in the power system. The nozzles need to be cleaned regularly, once every 20 to 40,000 kilometers. There are other sins behind the V6 engine. Often, and after 140 to 150,000 kilometers, already as a rule, individual ignition coils burn. Moreover, the failure of the first coil means the beginning of an epidemic. For the rest, it is better to stock up on the whole set in advance. And if a 6-cylinder Camry older than 2009 suddenly flashes a low oil pressure lamp, immediately check it out. Is there any oil in the sump? An inconspicuous oil cooler tube with a bursting rubber insert can be to blame for the leak. Later, the oil line was replaced with an all-metal one, and Toyota held a recall campaign. In order not to be left in the middle of the road with a dry engine, make sure the previous owner did not miss it. The 2.4 engine, run in on the previous generation Camry, does not have such antics, and a few weak links after 80 to 100,000 kilometers can be calculated by ear. There was a strange clicking from under the hood. It means that the V-rib belt tensioner mechanism has given up, and the amplified voice of the water pump and traces of coolant around herald his imminent demise. Transmission reliability to match the motors. In the only 5-speed mechanics available with the 2.4 engine, only the clutch actuator raises questions. After 40 to 50,000 kilometers, the release bearing sometimes prematurely exhausts its resource, and if after 70 to 80,000 kilometers difficulties with gear shifting and vibration during movement begin, a new driven disc may be needed. The 5-speed automatic Aisin U250E in the 4-cylinder Camry also does not harm much. The most annoying thing is when the car is immobilized by the limit switch under the brake pedal. Because of it, the automatic selector refuses to switch. And after 6 or 7 years, it happens that the contact in the automatic transmission control unit disappears. This grief can often be corrected by resoldering. Camry with a V6 engine has only a 6-speed Aisin U660E automatic transmission. Its lifespan depends not only on care. ATFWS oil is best updated at least 60 to 80,000 kilometers, but also on the temperament of the driver. If you often use the full power of a 6-cylinder engine, increased wear of the friction clutches and, as a result, clogging of the valve body channels with wear products is inevitable. We felt jerks and gas shifts when switching, especially from 3rd to 4th gear. When buying, feel free to bargain for the cost of the upcoming repair of $1,500 to $2,500. And after 90,000 kilometers, a 6-cylinder Camry can be let down by external CV joints, because of which you will also have to fork out for a half shaft, since officially CV joints are not supplied separately as spare parts. But the chassis is unlikely to help bring down the price of Camry, unless the front brake discs, which are prone to rapid overheating, sometimes have to be changed earlier than the pads. And with each MOT, you should not be lazy to clean and lubricate the caliper guides that love to sour. A knock when turning the steering wheel after 80 to 100,000 kilometers can cost $220. Due to the wear of the lower cross, you will have to buy a steering shaft. The rack and pinion steering mechanism itself is durable and rarely wears out before 200,000 kilometers. The more offensive it is to see streaks of power steering fluid around it. The lesser of the evils, if you let the high-pressure hose between the rail and the power steering pump, which happens more often. It's more annoying if after 100,000 kilometers oil seals flow. Officially, they are sold only together with the rail, so you will have to look for a non-original to replace it. The same awkward situation arises in the event of wear of the rubber bushings of the steering mechanism. And in the suspension, V000 ski quiet and smooth surface. Do not consider the penny bushings of the front and rear stabilizers, the first to wear out after 50 to 70,000 kilometers, to be a misfortune. New silent blocks of the front levers, steering rods and bushings of the trailing arms of the rear suspension are rarely required before 100 to 150,000 kilometers. And most of the other elements, including shock absorbers, ball joints borrowed from the previous generation Camry and rear wishbones, are not averse to swinging even 200,000 kilometers. Total. It is not surprising that Toyota Camry loses value very slowly, only 6 to 8% per year. Reliability is in the price. The main rival of Nissan Tipa is on average 40 to 60,000 rubles cheaper, and for the initially more expensive Volkswagen Passat B6, although they ask for about the same in the secondary market as for Camry, but DSG robots and TSI motors. Against their background, cause serious problems. Even the less successful Toyota with the 6-cylinder engine does not turn its tongue, not to mention the 4-cylinder Camry.